We are back with Jenn Hazeleger for more barrel racing stuff. Hey, this is June, and we are doing Barrel Racing 101 Part 2 at the fundamentals of the barrel pattern. I'm going to walk the pattern for you guys, and then we'll trot the pattern, and I'm going to talk about all the steps and the spots that we want our horse's feet to go coming into a barrel. One thing that I do want to mention is that every horse is a little different, and just because my horse works a certain way, it doesn't mean that your horse is going to need to come into a barrel a certain way or work a barrel a certain way. This is a general guideline. With horses all being a bit different, you might need to change things up a little depending on how your horse wants to work, because all horses turn differently and all horses need to approach barrels a little differently. The first thing that when you're doing slow work in a closed pen like this without a chute or running through a chute, over there we have a bit of a little chute, and when you're at a barrel race, often you're going to have a chute. Right now I'm just doing dry work, so we're not going to use the chute, but I always want to make sure that I'm circling in the direction that my first barrel is going to be, because if I'm cantering or loping, I'll show you, I want my horse to pick up the lead of the barrel that I'm going in on. So here she's being pushy. We've talked about this in the last video. I'm going to address that a little. We're still scared of whatever's in that corner. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to ask her to walk in, and we're coming from the side, the corner of where our first barrel is, turning the same direction. So I'm going to start by coming up and looking to the inside of my third barrel. And then when I'm about 20 feet away, I want to start coming into my first barrel, and that's going to change depending on the depth or the width of your pen. But I want to follow about this line, come in at 4 feet off, and then hit 3 foot point, 3 foot point, 3 foot point, and then let my horse's shoulders come around. So this is actually a super important concept, finding the 3 foot point, and making sure my horse's shoulders have cleared the barrel before I ask her to come back around and head into the next one. So you'll see I need her shoulders to clear, and then she can come around, and if we're loping, she'll swap a lead and head up into the second barrel. So it's the same with the second barrel. We come into our barrel 4 feet away. So we're 4 feet, and then I'm going to draw her in 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet. Shoulders have cleared the barrel. Now she can square up and head into the next one. And another really important thing is having super straight lines between your barrels. Our line into our first is not always going to be, will not be dead straight, but your second and your third, it's good to have them dead straight. So 4 feet, we're going to go 3 feet, 3 feet. My shoulder has cleared. Now I'll ask my horse to square up and head home. Yeah, so we'll talk here a little bit about our line into our first again as we trot it, and then those nice straight lines into each barrel. Something scary over here still. So I'm heading in, looking at the edge of my third barrel. I'm starting to bring her in. I want her to be a little bent. There we go. And I like to sit trot around my barrel. So I'm going to go nice and straight, and I don't want her to jump out or jump in. So we're nice and straight. And then when you're turning around the barrel, you'll notice that I did it on the last one. You hold the rein with your inside hand, and you hold the saddle horn with your outside hand. Just like that. So we'll trot that again. When I'm coming around this corner here, I want my horse to keep this bend. I don't want my horse to stick her nose out towards the fence back there. So we're coming in like an arc motion into this barrel. Across. And then straight line into second. We don't go out. We don't come in. We just go straight to this point that's 4 feet around. And turn. Straight to the point that's 4 feet away. And then turn in, turn in, turn in. So we're going to talk a little bit about bend and keeping correct bend around a barrel, and you can implement that onto the barrel pattern. Right now we're just doing it around one barrel, so it's easier for Sienna and she doesn't have to come chasing me around each barrel. So right now I can see the tip of my horse's eye, I can see the tip of my horse's nose, and my horse's bum is tracking on the inside of my turn. So essentially my horse's body is shaped like a banana or like a C coming around this barrel like this. So some of the things that can be incorrect about bend is when we want to overbend our horse. So if I am expecting my horse to bring her nose around like this, so she is overbent here, it's a very unathletic move. It's clearly not comfortable for them. Like, look how angry her face looks right now, just grabbing at that bit. And we're not using we don't have full use of every single one of our horse's body parts. So when I keep her face bent this much, her shoulder naturally wants to turn out this way, and then sometimes you'll lose their hip too and their bum wants to float out. So now I'm going to give her her face back, and I'm going to go back to correct bend. It's pretty subtle, like we don't want too much bend. So here we go. Here's the correct amount of bend. Now you can see her body has changed as far as she's more relaxed. She's not wanting to chomp down at the bit like she was before. Oh, making a liar out of me. But for the most part, she's happier doing it this way without being hyper bent. One of the other mistakes is being bent in the wrong direction. So this is just not going to be a fast turn. Your horse's feet aren't going to be able to get themselves placed in the right spot as you're making the turn. A big mistake that riders will make is actually coming into a barrel, pulling their horse's face out. So I'm going to give you an example of that. And especially when you first start barrel racing, and if you transitioned from any other type of riding, and your horse is coming into a barrel, say, and the trajectory of their body is heading straight towards this barrel. And what people often want to do is grab their outside rein and pull them out like this and tip their nose out and try and pull them off of that barrel. But that's actually just going to cause your horse to go closer to the barrel, because if you watch my body as I'm coming around and doing this, my hips are actually pushing my horse towards the barrel as my hand is pulling her out. So if you watch, I'm pulling her out, but I'm pushing her towards the barrel with my hips. So we're actually doing opposite of what we're attempting to do. If our horse wants to come and get close to a barrel like that, the solution is having them soft off of our inside leg so that they can move over, which is where brokenness comes in with our barrel horses. So I squeeze with my inside leg and I just push her over. Okay. Another mistake that gets made when going around a barrel is keeping your horse just too straight. Like right here, she's too straight. She's not locked in on the turn. And her movement is actually heading up straight instead of around the barrel. So at any point, if I stop riding her every step of the way, she's just going to go straight. See that? Like her body is naturally wanting to go straight. So it goes back to the physics law of inertia, which is one of Newton's laws. And what it means, what inertia is say a vehicle is driving really, really fast and needs to turn. If it's going in a straight line, so if I'm driving a car and it's going this way, and then I need to turn really fast, it's naturally going to float out this way because that's the direction that I was originally going, and that's the direction that energy is pushing that object. So if I'm coming into a barrel and my horse's shoulders are like this, inertia is pushing us up that way. But if I'm coming to a barrel and my horse is straight with a slight bend, inertia is pushing us on to the next step, that next step, okay? If my horse is really straight, inertia is pushing us forward. See how you can, see she's just getting further and further away from the barrel, okay? So that's why I want my horse, I want to see the tip of the eye, the tip of the nose, and her to just be locked on to the next step, the next step. And that's where my body, the line that I was talking about that comes here, I like to think about it as a laser beam. I want that laser beam pushing my horse to that next step, that next step, next step. And so now that we've talked about getting bend around a barrel turn, the next question is, well, how in the world do I get bend? And when we're asking a horse for bend, we're going to have our inside rein just slightly shorter than our outside rein. So the inside one is the one closest to the barrel. Outside is the one furthest away from the barrel. And you can see that I've got a longer area on my outside and a shorter area on my inside. And that's going to tip their nose in. I'm also going to continuously apply inside leg to try and keep my horse's body in a C shape. And then when we have horses that are not trained on pattern or want to float a hip, sometimes you've got to support your horse's hip with a little bit of outside leg back behind your cinch to keep that hip in. So you can see that June naturally tracks with her hip in on a certain, in her hip in a correct position on a circle. She naturally just wants to track with her body like this all the time. Sometimes horses don't want to track like that, and I'm just trying to force her to put her hip out. She knows it's wrong. But you can see, you know, sometimes horses will want to track with their hip. She's like, no, lady, that's the wrong answer. But sometimes horses will want to track with their hip away, floating away from the barrel, and their shoulder almost leading the turn like this. Their shoulder wants to lead into the turn and kind of like suck into the barrel like that. And that's going to cause you to knock barrels. It's also going to cause a horse to like fishtail out and float their hip. You can always insert That's mean. And so when we're doing our slow work, it's super important that we're always making our horse's body position be the exact position we want them to be riding around the barrel when we're running. So slow work is what is going to be the key to success with your fast work.